Today we're going to talk about a very important topic when it comes to raising boys. The topic of raising boys has created a lot of noise in the recent past because as we've been raising empowered women, making women understand the need for equality and making them break many kinds of glass ceilings, we've also realized that somewhere down the line, we've missed out on giving the boys the kind of upbringing they need so that they can accept empowered women wholeheartedly without feeling left out, without feeling insecure, without feeling unloved. And one of the biggest tools in raising boys who are confident and happy and are able to empathize and empower themselves and others around them is about bringing them up without having a feeling of entitlement. So what does it mean? What is the feeling of entitlement? How does it impact a child? How does it shape the man as he grows up into an adult? And what happens? These are topics that we will be addressing in today's conversation with Niyatii N Shah, a trained sexuality educator and a parenting coach at Brat. She's also an author, a TEDx speaker, and a Josh Talk speaker as well. So over to you, Niyatii. Let's begin this conversation with a little bit of something from you about raising boys and what it all means.
Thank you, Jyoti. Thank you so much for having me on this talk with you. What does raising boy mean is very different for a lot of different countries. And even if we are speaking about our own country, we have so many different cultures, so many different rituals, so many different understanding and beliefs when it comes to girls and boys. So I do know of cultures and religions, not religion particularly, but cultures and traditions where boys do what we expect the girls do in majority of our country, like moving into the husband's house. So they move into their wife's home after marriage. I also very recently came across, I was traveling and I came across a co-traveler who was sharing of how Vietnamese women are more empowered and more, they are the one who has the reins in their hands with the household, who decide of how this family is going to be. Somewhere they are not being fair, they're pretty unjust, but they are the ones who will call the shots. And the husbands are, quietly just doing whatever the wives asks them to do. So I think it is more, while we are here in India and speaking about our country, definitely we see a huge gap in the way education is provided to them, in the way safety is, the sense of safety that they have, the sense of entitlement that we're going to talk about today is given to them, just a sense of who I am and what I deserve in so many different aspects of life. And we do see a huge gap. So yes, there is a lot of conditioning that we've had from while we were raised as children, or how our parents were raised as children, and how it's trickling down to the next generation coming after us. Of course, every generation is more empowered than the earlier one. We were more empowered than our parents were. But at the same time, there are some things that are still trickling down, and they do manifest in different forms, maybe not in the same way, but yes, it is still there, and we need to somewhere deal with and understand the sense of equality when it comes to human rights, and then still understand the differences we enjoy, being the man and being the woman. So it's just about having the basic knowledge of who we are and what we are here for, and how do we need to treat one another, and then be treated this, in a similar manner ourselves. So yeah, raising boys is tough in a way now that we've pampered them to the core.
So since we are addressing the topic of entitlement, I was told that, that is something that both the boy and the girl child can equally feel. And it's up to the parents to kind of ensure that they have an upbringing that is grounded enough so as to not make them feel entitled. True. So what is it about? How do children exactly develop that feeling of entitlement?
When they demand something and they get it. When they're not demanding, but you're constantly giving it to them because they are. Because they are your children, like you have to praise them, you have to tell good things about them. You want to give them all the sukh of the world, all the material, all the money that you have. Who is it for? It's all for you. Sometimes it is the over respect that you give them just because one of like giving an example, where there are some cultures where the daughters are told, you cannot touch our feet. In our cultures, daughters don't touch our feet, but boys should. So that is one huge gap that we see between the girl and the boy. And in some cultures, the girls are told that you are finally going to go to somebody else's house. So this is your temporary house, so all the wealth can be enjoyed by the boy, but not by the girl. Ye to tumhara hi hai. At the end of it, it's all going to come to you. So it's all okay if I give it to you today or tomorrow, to the boy. So the wealth is distributed indifferently, differently between the girls and the boys. So understanding that entitlement is not bad all the time, but when it is overdone, when it was not necessary and you've done it, where you need to teach your children about hard work and earning the respect or the trust or the money and whatever they think they should get or they deserve. To some extent, yes, you have to give it to them so that they're not, feeling less and under also. But there has to be a line drawn where you can see that maybe I've crossed my line where my child feels just because he's my child, he needs to get it. So that is where you need to understand where it is going overboard and where you can just kind of like be and still stay healthy. So anything that you give over and above, which is not earned, but simply just because. So I think that's where the term entitlement comes in.
So if you were a, let's say, middle class parent without a wealth to dole out, or, with like all we are with these days, working middle income group people, as parents, what can we do to raise children who do not feel entitled? I mean, a few concrete steps that you could suggest that parents could, in a daily basis, follow so that children don't feel entitled.
So one is children should feel entitled, but entitled to a healthy level. Like, should they feel respected? Yes, they must. Should they feel loved? Yes, they must. But should they feel pamperedly, pampered? Then in love, supposing, every day I'm telling my child, I love you so much. I will do everything for you. I'm here only for you. Now, all that was not needed. I love you, ensuring and reassuring your child that I'm here is important. Like the language can change and all that stuff. Now, you very interestingly mentioned middle-class families. Middle-class families are the families that do not give entitlement to their children. They understand the importance of hard work and importance of earning it rather than giving it. So giving it also comes from either the lack of, the abundance of fear, or the abundance of the wealth that you have, or the abundance of love that you have for your children. So it's either like, if I don't give, then my child might do XYZ. Then that's the reason you're constantly giving. So for examples, if I have to say, see, as parents, we are not validated by our children, right? We are not given a lot of appreciation or praises by our children. We do give it up to our child, but our children don't give it back to us. So in the game of staying friendly with them, we will kind of like let loose a little bit and give them a little more than what they are, what they deserve in a way, if I have to say it. Sometimes just to be good in their books, we will, kind of give it to them. So because parents have this fear, if I don't, then something won't work for me. If I don't take care of them now, they will not take care of me. So these are the things that when you have a lot of abundance, you kind of give it to your child. But middle-class families, they are like, I've done it till now, I'll take care of myself later also. You make sure you are taking care of yourself, because I'm not going to give it to you. I don't have anything to give it to you. So that is where, if we are talking about socioeconomic classes, this is how we are differentiating. But in the same manner, sometimes these middle-class families might feel, I didn't have it, but let me give it to you. So they will burn their souls, they'll burn their feet, they'll go out, do extra work. They might not eat, but make sure that their children get a little more than what just fills their stomach. So it could work both ways. The idea is to recognize, are you giving your child something that they should work for? Are you giving them pocket money that they probably there's surplus in their pockets? Are you giving them over praising, so many praises that your child does not feel the need to just go out and do anything? I'm being loved any which ways. I'm being praised any which ways. Why should I do anything? So that is where I think you need to recognize, irrespective of where you come from. Now, how can you keep a check? That's what you asked me. How can you keep a check? One, don't just give it to them because they've asked for it. Delay it a little bit, So if your child is asking for maybe new skates, like I want new skates. So just check if there is an occasion coming in the coming couple of months or 3 months. Maybe there's a birthday coming. Maybe Diwali is on the, at the corner. Maybe Christmas, maybe Raksha Bandhan, maybe something is just coming around the corner, and just delay it a little bit to say, why don't you put it on that festival's list? Maybe Santa will give it to you. Maybe Diwali, you can receive it. So this is what I do with my child too. I ask them to start making a list of things that they desire, and what they will get on what occasion remains a surprise. So I do delay it. They do not get everything now. So that is one thing you should always be careful with your children. Praise things that they have first attempted, and then wait for them to do it a little more better for the next praise. Every time they get 60 marks, you don't have to praise them. Every time they've skated from this end to this end, don't praise them. You've praised them for doing it once, making an attempt, then push them to do better so that their growth is not stunned. So always don't just give it to them for the same thing again and again. Wait for them or encourage them to be better, and then increase, whether it's your praise, whether it's whatever it may be. So just wait for that too. Encourage them to earn it. Now, set some clear expectations with your child that just because you've asked me, you're not just going to get it. You either will have to wait for it for some occasion like we spoke, or you'll have to earn for it. Yes, and then encourage your child or motivate your child or give them opportunities to earn it. Like one of the very early on, when my son was young, maybe he was about, I'm not very clear, but maybe somewhere between 11 and 13. And he would ask me for some video games, and for the skin, you have some $60, and for some avatars, you have some $100. And he would just be like, just give it to me as my birthday gift 1 month early. And I would be like, a birthday gift is a birthday gift. I can't give you all the gifts for the coming years today. So just wait for it and I will give it to you. So, that way. And then maybe birthday is 3 months away, and I have opportunities where he can work for me. Not the household chores, but something like making my creatives or filing my papers, or something that I would have paid somebody else for doing that job for me. So I would say that, okay, why don't you make like 20 creatives for me and I'll give you so much. Then you can buy the game that you wanted. So these are the ways you can figure out of how you can encourage your child to perform tasks, to do the work, and then earn that. Trust me, if they do that more often, it will pinch them to just go and spend that money without thinking, right? So it is important for them to understand the value of earning that thing. So sometimes he would just be like, don't give me money, just buy me this. What do you want me to do to get this? And I would bring in some opportunities, and they would be like, okay, fine. It might take 15 days, some days, it might take 2 months sometimes, but they get it. They get it that I'm not going to just get it because I ask for it. So these are some tips and tricks that you can, use with your children. Teenagers, especially teenagers, it is extremely important to sit down and have a chat with them. Let them know that there are some shifts in the way things have happened, if it has not happened from the beginning, or this is how it is going to go from here on. Set the expectations clear, set your boundaries clear, make sure that you can say no to them and not feel guilty, because the guilt makes you give them more, right? Make sure that you're spending enough time with them, you're encouraging them, you're letting them know that this is how I'm treating you like an adult. This is how I'm giving you what you wanted. I'm giving you the respect, I'm giving you opportunities, I'm treating you like an adult, I'm talking to you like an adult. But if they throw tantrums, don't just give in. Ask them, do you want me to treat you like a child because that's how you're behaving? Or do you want me to treat you like an adult? Then you will have to behave like an adult. So these are some of the tips and tricks that you can use.
So, when it comes to the Indian way of parenting, it is often seen that the boys do grow up with a huge sense of entitlement and a lack of clear boundaries of any idea about consent. So, how are these things interlinked to each other? I mean, do you think, since you did mention boundaries and setting clear boundaries and having conversations with your children, specific to boys, why is there that the Indian parenting or the Indian culture sees boys with a lot of sense of entitlement, who grow up and do not respect anything, no boundaries, no consent, nothing, and it just goes on from generation to generation like that?
Yeah. So about the consent, I'll just come a little later. But why do Indian boys already have this sense of entitlement is, one, it comes from the fear that parents have that if I don't take care of my son today, he won't take care of me later. And in our culture, we all live together till we die. So it doesn't matter, even if we have 4 generations, we would want to live together. This is how we understand. I took care of you, you take care of me. Which is okay if both of them agree and both of them believe in the same system. But in that fear that if I don't do certain things or don't treat my child in a certain manner, they won't take care of me. So that is the biggest thing because of which we say, okay, you can go out whenever you want. You can go out with your friends. You can wear whatever you want. You can eat whatever you want. So if it is my son's birthday, I'll make kheer puri. But if my daughter's birthday, I said, who's going to make it for you in your in-laws? You better get used to this food. So these kind of discriminations and this kind of letting one know that this is your home and the other one that this is not. You know, we are your parents, but they are your real parents. This kind of thing kind of gives entitlement to the men to say that I deserve anything just because I'm a boy. I get this because I'm a boy. I can go out in the middle of the night because I'm a boy. You need to be taking care of your safety because you're a girl. I don't need to worry because I'm a boy. So consent also comes from the same entitlement, sense of entitlement that I don't need to ask for anything. It just has to be given to me. You know, and the girl has always told, you wait, you give. If there are leftovers, you have. So that, see, how we learn one thing is how we understand the rest of our things in our lives. So if we've been taught to wait for the food, first feed the man, then eat whatever is left, this also comes from you come first. It doesn't matter whether I get my satisfaction or not. You take it first. It doesn't matter whether you ask me if I want it or not. So I think that is where this whole idea of teaching your boys to be empathetic, to see other people in their lives, other genders and sexes in their life as human beings. To say that if you're my mom, so what? I remember this so distinctly because it was so different from what I had seen otherwise. In my early days of marriage, when my husband took me for our meals, you know, together as families, all your relatives are calling you. And I come from a family, like the joint families I'm talking about. So we were nuclear for the major part of my childhood. But my grandmother has taken me to a lot of people's homes, relatives' homes. My dad's taken me to a lot of relatives' homes. My mom had a big family. I've really been to a lot of relatives' homes. So I've come from a family where I've seen different people, different homes, different, rituals. But so when my husband took me to these lunches and dinners to my in-laws' homes, one, I was thrilled any which ways to see this side of the family. But he made sure to say that, no, let's all sit together. He might have not done that before I came into his life. So mothers and buas and chachis would sit later. But now that I was here, he made sure that even if no woman is sitting, either he will wait for me so that when we sit, he'll have meals with me, or he will say, are you all okay if Niyatii sits with me? But we ate together from one thali. So I would be the only woman sitting in between all those men, but he would make sure that I'm sitting with him. So I think this is where you realize that, oh, a woman can be treated this way. And because he demanded that subtly, respectfully, the people didn't, the people of the home, the family members didn't mind it. It was just put very subtly, like, it's okay if she can't sit with us. I will sit with you. And that made the shift in the house. So I think it is just a matter of that educated choice, an informed choice that you can make. So even if you were taught to feel entitled or given those entitlements, at the end of the day, if you are a matured human being, you will know where to draw your lines and how to treat your partner. So yeah, I mean, Indian homes, boys, but most of us are not taught, nor in school and nor at home. So we continue in so many different aspects of our lives.
So, how do we raise boys to be good humans, like how you spoke about? So as parents, what are those informed choices, I mean, on a day-to-day basis or an everyday life that we can make, that we can role model whatever you're talking about to our boys?
Absolutely. So I think it all begins from letting the child know that if you are a boy, there is a girl. There is another human being who may not share the same biology or the same whatever you are made of, but there are other human beings and you need to treat them just the way you're treating yourself, right? So one, teach them to be kind. Now, whether a girl or a boy, I don't think anybody should be given more entitlement that they kind of like worked for or they kind of need it. It's either the need that they have or they've earned it. So whether a girl or a boy, teach them to be kind. Teach them to treat each and every one of, whether it's their peers, whether they are, adults or elders, treat everybody with respect. Now, that is not just, touching your feet or anything, genuinely understanding what respect means. Patience, having patience, with different people, different age people, teach them to serve. I think this is something we were taught as children, where we were taken to temples, to, food is served in temples, to go and serve food, whether it is the less, how can I say, blessed, maybe they didn't have food and we are giving them, or our own people. So we do tapsha. I come from a Jain family. So tapshas also are carried out, in the temples where we serve food for people who are eating only a meal or 2 meals a day. So serving people, even in your own house, serve your elders, serve your younger ones, serving helps. So take them to NGOs, do any kind of different activities, but teach them to serve. Bend down and give food. Bend down and touch feet, because when you bend down physically, your ego comes in check. And there are these wonderful movements that we can do with our body where all these, mannerisms and belief systems can be created. So teach them to serve, teach them to be kind, teach them to respect others, teach them to be, to have etiquettes, to be mannered, how to speak, of how differently can you put things, so many different things. Teach them how to ask for consent. And it can be started, as you very well pointed out, that it all starts by you doing it first. Because children are not listening, right? We all know that children are not listening, but children are watching you. So when you do it, they learn to do it. And when they see you being validated and praised, they know it is the right thing to do. So then they continue, modeling, watching you and then continuing to do the same things. Give them chores, give them work. Now, if you want to pay them, don't pay them for folding their clothes and keeping their room clean, or serving you food, or, something that they need to do in the house any which ways. But give them a little bit of money when they are helping you with your work. something that you can give them. Like, as I said, filing could be one, creating something could be one, maybe replying to your emails every morning could be a chore. So give them earnings there, teach them to do hard work. So these are the kind of basic humanities that you need to teach them, whether it's a girl or a boy, for them to know that I'm not just going to get it because I am. I'm going to get it because either I worked for it or because, that person wanted to give it to me. It's not just because who I am.
So that was a very nice point that you elucidated about going to serve people and how it can raise one's compassion and empathy. I think it's true for everybody, not children alone. Even as adults, if you do it, it brings about a kind of a change in the way we think. Even our relationship with food changes. I was reading somewhere that if you serve food to others, your own relationship with food and the way you see wastage changes a lot. Having said that, what are the red flags that a parent should look out for that indicates that perhaps they're raising an entitled son?
When your child is asking for a lot of things that they probably don't need just because they want it, and then throwing a tantrum because they don't get it. So that is something as a red flag you need to check. If your child is expecting expensive things just because their friends have it and just because they want it, just because they want to feel cool. So if they're asking for a lot of expensive things, irrespective, sometimes we tell our children that I'll buy you a bike or I'll buy you a cycle in your 10 standard results if they are above so and so, right? But if they don't get that result, but still expect the cycle or the bike, that is a red flag, right? So what? It's just so many percentage less. So what? But I want it. You told me you'll give it. I tried my best. But so there is a tantrum that follows when they don't get it. So, so that is another red flag. Sometimes when children threaten you, if you don't then, or blackmail you, if you don't then, so these are red flags wherein, they are kind of like putting you in a spot if they don't get it, make you feel less if you're not giving it to them. Oh, you're such a bad parent. You don't spend time with me. You don't want to give me things also. I wish you were not my mom. So these are the things we've heard from teenagers. See, sometimes it can be temporary. Now, not all entitlements are permanent problems. Some are very temporary. It's just because sometimes it's, the mood. Sometimes it's hormones. Sometimes they desperately want it for some other reason, which we may not understand. So you have to really sieve it through, you have to realize what it is for. But otherwise, these are the red flags that you really, really have to consider and then sit down and have a chat with this child.
I'd like to ask you one thing. You've been speaking about teenagers. At what age can we actually start this thing? When does the feeling of entitlement actually creep into a boy? I mean, it could be as young as 3, as young as 30. I don't know. I mean, I'm just asking because as a parent, if I want to understand this and be pre-armed or pre-warned, what do I do?
It starts from the childhood because as a parent, when the child is more cuter and when you want to provide them with the toys and the clothes and all of it, everything has to be extra. Do you know how difficult it is to give a gift to a child on their birthday in today's times? Because every child has it all. Nothing is left for birthday gifts. So that is a red flag again. Okay, that is a red flag again. But I think as young as children of 2 years, 3 years, they start sensing, they are realizing everything that is happening around them. They are like sponge. Their subconscious is absorbing everything that's happening around them. Oh, I have big birthday parties. Oh, I have to have minimum 100 people for my birthday parties. Oh, I have to have a new dress for my birthday party. And that dress has to be for so much amount for my birthday party. I have to have jewelry for my birthday party. I'm just giving you one example of one event and how many things can go wrong, right? So similarly, it's Diwali or it's birthday gifts or it could be anything. So I think from a very young age, as a parent, you have to keep a check on whether are you giving everything to your child which is over and above, which gives them the sense of a grandiose, a sense of like big, grand. And then if you give them something small, how do they react? But I think it all starts from the young age, or whenever the parent starts feeling the threat that now if I don't, then I'm going to fall in trouble. So it could start from there on also. Sometimes it could be after marriage of your child. Now suddenly there is a daughter-in-law in the house. So you see now the daughter-in-law and the mother-in-law are not getting along. So you kind of like bribe your son into, I will give you this and mere will mein ye likha hai aur ye to ghar tumhara hi hai. So, now take care of me kind of things. So as I said, it's either the pleasure or the pain. Either you want to be that parent who is like giving so much to their child, or you are that fearful parent, like, what if you don't take care of me? So it could be any time, but most of the times we see it at a very young age.
You also did mention that this could be somewhat temporary, right? I mean, it could fade in and fade out. So supposing a set of parents does notice there's a growing sense of entitlement in their son. What are the things they can do to correct it? I mean, subtly, it might not work, right? Because there will be a lot of tantrums and stuff like that. So how do they actually go about correcting that and bringing it back to the normal?
So the only way I see this is through communication. But communication cannot just be like, listen, this is going to be how it is going to be. Not that way. One, understand how your child receives love. Okay, that is the first thing you need to know. So if my child receives love just by me sitting down and having a chat with him, with love, with compassion, and with patience. So if I have to repeat myself 150 times at the same patient level, with the same love, with the same tone, I will sit down one more time and say, sweets, I get it that you want it, but you know what? We will have to wait, or you will have to earn it. Is there something I can help you with? Have the chat again and again with love, not with anger, not with frustration, but with love. So every time a teen is given respect, spoken to as an adult, letting them know that you deserve it, but you have to earn it, or it can be given to you at this point in time. So meet them halfway and make sure you let them know that I acknowledge your demand. I acknowledge your need. Sometimes you might feel that you don't need an iPad, but the child is like, I need an iPad. You don't get it. The work I do, I need an iPad. So sometimes you have to say, okay, then let's meet halfway. You need it and I don't want to give it. So do something that you can earn it for yourself. Now, this is teenagers that we're talking, right? So bring them to a point where you can say, let's work this out together. Don't leave your child alone to just fend for themselves. Always be there as a parental role, right? Your role is to support your child. Your role is to see that, do you need help at any point? I am here, I'm experienced, I'm there for you. You're still not earning as much as you need to earn. Okay, let's look at some other opportunities. Go look into the newspaper. I'll ask my friends. You go see what you want to do. I'll look into something else. Be an equal partner for them. And trust me, when they see that you're working along them, with them, they have a different respect for you. So, yeah.
Okay, now let's look at a worst case scenario. Supposing we haven't corrected this and the child is now a grown man. What are the repercussions? I mean, how does it manifest itself in an adult? This sense of entitlement. What happens to the now the adult boy's relationship? What happens to his life, his work, his career? How does it pan out?
Very interesting. They'll want entitlement everywhere. I should get a raise because I'm so good. Are you really good? Who cares? I'm telling you I'm good, so you give me a raise. I deserve a dowry because I'm a graduate. I deserve to be respected because I'm your father. You will have to listen to me because I'm your parent. You'll have to just give me sex because I'm the husband. In so many different ways, this can go wrong. In so many, and they will never realize Why it is going wrong? Because any which way they deserve. If the wife complains, you're not even asking me if I like it, if I want it. He won't even understand what it means. Why do I need to ask you? I'm the man. I'm supposed to get it. So if the child sometimes says that, did you ever ask me what I want to do? You just want me to become the engineer, so I have to become an engineer. Why do I need to ask you? I'm the father. I will tell you what to do. So this is how it manifests later into their lives. And they don't see a problem with that. They don't think that you also deserve the same entitlement that I have. So in so many different ways, it can go wrong.
Is this how, and I was reading this somewhere as I was doing research to, talk to you about this topic. Is this how, men somehow do fall or do become narcissists? I mean, I was also read that the number of male narcissists are far higher than the female narcissists out there, at least as far as India is concerned. Is this true? And is this a reason, is this sense of entitlement that we bring them up with, is that the reason why there are more narcissist men out there than women?
So similarly, okay, narcissism is all about me. You're not there anywhere. It's all about me. But entitlement, it is about me, but it is related to you. You have to give it to me. Okay, so that's the small shift between narcissism and entitlement. Anybody who demands entitlement may not be a narcissist. And every narcissist will have a sense of entitlement, but not demanding it from somebody else. It's like that. How can I put this in an example? Narcissist will make you do things for them and then talk about it that you've given it to me. I have not asked for it. Similar, okay? But an entitled person will say, you will only have to give it to me. I can't get it for myself. So that's the small shift. So you give it to me, but then I will always ask, when did you give it to me? It was always mine. That's the shift. So thin line, but two different things. So are men narcissists? Yes, to a certain extent. But I think we also confuse ourselves with them being patriarchy, them being chauvinist, and we put them under this whole umbrella of being narcissists. Sometimes it is just this conditioning that they have, the patriarchy conditioning that they have, and we feel it's narcissism. So I think it is very important for us to really educate ourselves about narcissism, then start looking into our lives, whether what we have understood a narcissist to be, is this actually what is happening in our life? So a narcissist, for example, if I say my husband always blames me for whatever happens in his life, okay, now a narcissist would do that, definitely would do that. But are there occasions where my husband also takes, I won't call it blame, but responsibility of things that have happened with us? Does he come back to take care of me, not because he wants me to feel or him to feel that I'm anyways taking care of you? Does he really leave me when in the time of dire need, or he stands by me? Now, these are the things you need to very finely, minutely observe in your life. That's where you will be able to see that when I needed him, he ran away. But even though he was so mean to me, he was being the man, the chauvinist pig that we call them. But when the time came, he stood by me. So these are the kind of things you have to really observe to understand whether it's narcissism or it's just simple entitlement.
That's a very interesting point that you've made. And I think to conclude this whole conversation, Okay, of course, I recap that you're saying that parents should, inculcate the value of patience in a boy. They should also make the person feel that they've earned something before they demand something. But on an average, um, does buying them, looking after their needs, and actually just uh, giving them what they want at certain points in time lead to a sense of entitlement, or is this all about the power of saying no on another level?
No, I don't think it is the power of saying no. I think if you're looking at it as a power, so somewhere you can't just say no. It's as simple as that. So for me, saying no comes very naturally. So if my daughter is like, I want something now, I'll be like, I can't give it now. I'm sorry, I can't give it now. So it's just the fact that I realize that, one, even if I can give it to you today, I have the sense of I've given you three things exactly, like without waiting. I gave it to you immediately when you asked for. It's time for me to delay a little bit so that you don't start having this sense of, oh, now I want this also now. So and that's not for me to discuss with my child that, oh, I've given you three things, now I'm not going to give it to you, now you'll have to wait. That's not for them to know what my parenting, my schemes are and what I am understanding and how I'm planning my parenting. It's in my head and I'll go like, oh, you'll have to wait for this. I'm a little busy in this coming week. I'm looking into it. I might not have the time to research for it. So just kind of hang on. I'll come around. I'll give it to you. Sometimes, even if I've promised, I've not given it to them. I break my promises. And I'll be like, you know what? I am sorry I broke my promise, but maybe I'll, compensate in a different manner, but it's going to take another week or so. And that's how I probably will delay it any which ways. So be smart.
Okay, very last question, and this is just about flipping the coin. I'm sure there are parents who have this, who've grown up with this sense of entitlement also. How does an entitled parent affect the psyche of a child? I mean, what do they do wrong or right in their parenting that either makes the child feel entitled or takes away all sense of having accomplished anything from them?
I think the sense of entitlement simply means you have to give it to me because I am. So if I'm a father, you will have to give it to me because I'm a father. As a parent, since we are discussing as a parent, respect, you have to give it to me because I'm a father. You have to listen to me because I'm a father. I will give it to you because I have it. It could work both ways, but most of it will be demanding because I am. If they are aware of the abundance that they have received and how they can translate their abundance into a positive thing that their children may learn, that life is abundant, you'll just have to kind of patiently wait for it. Then that's an aware, entitled parent who is passing on that awareness to them. Otherwise, most of the time it is like, boss, I deserve it. Maybe not you. So if it is money, they know they have it, their children don't, so they will give it. But when it comes to something that they want from their children, it will always be about demanding it from them and not giving it to them. Because I deserve, nobody else does.
And how does it impact the child?
So it could be neglect. It could be the sense of inferiority. It could be a sense of I don't deserve it. It could be a sense of my dad never gave it, the lack of it. And then to seek it from so many different other places, right or wrong, and then to fall into trouble, then to be abused, to be emotionally abused in so many different ways. In so many different ways. It can be negative in so many different ways. I don't see a positive having an entitled father. I don't see any positive for that child. Nothing that's coming to me.
So on that note, yes, I think we should leave the parents out there to think about everything that we've discussed today, because ultimately, like we all say, they are the best parents for their children and they know the best. And it is with that thought that I'd like to thank you so much, Niyatii, for taking time out to speak to us. It
My
has been a
pleasure.
very interesting session.
Thank you. Thank you so much.